Welcome to our third annual World Suicide Prevention Day Vigil of Remembrance. Reach Out Start to End Suicide is primarily focused on starting conversations that destigmatise suicide. Sadly, our communities aren't equipped to deal with conversations as they stand at this point in time. There is a reluctance to reach out to those that are experiencing grief to suicide, as there is to anyone that they may be concerned about. So what we do is go into the community and start these conversations. We're about empowering people to ask questions if they're worried about a loved one. And what we're trying to do with this Vigil of Remembrance is actually bring it out into the public, out into the open, if you like, grief of losing a loved one to suicide, and showing people that, they're not alone. Because sadly, what will happen at the moment is that we will lose someone to suicide. And our friends, our neighbours, even family members will feel so uncomfortable about talking or providing support, they'll actually just start withdrawing. So what we need to do is equip our communities with the ability to talk about suicide. And hopefully what tonight will bring is a de-isolation of those that are experiencing that grief, whether they be here tonight or at home watching it via the live stream. But what we're trying to do is show that the grief is real, support is needed, and hopefully we can actually bring together our communities through something that is so sad and so tragic as losing a loved one to suicide. And hopefully from tonight you'll feel the love and support from each and every one of our contributors to tonight's Vigil of Remembrance on World Suicide Prevention Day.
Worse, should I keep it to myself again? Oh no, but I have a reason to be loved again, without the measure of control. On call. Get up off your knees and think of yourself for me, please. What for? What needs? I never recognized that face before. It must be new to me. Now did I just make you smile? It wasn't long, but it was worth the wait. Then the devil briefly died. Now did I just make you smile? Even though we want the world to take, with you by my side, by my side. Did I mention I've seen that face before? Or was it the first time that I've got it wrong? Well, it must have been a bit unforgettable. Or was it that you teared up the place where you were young? You were young, while you were young. Should I keep it to myself again? Oh no, but I have a reason to be loved again, without the measure of control. Now did I just make you smile? It wasn't long, but it was worth the wait. Then the devil briefly died. Now did I just make you smile? the world to take with you by my side, by my side, by my side. I've seen that face before, or was it the first time that I've got it wrong? Well, it must have been a bit unforgettable, or was it that you stayed at the place where you were young? You were young, whilst you were young. To make you smile, even though we want the world to take with you by my side. Got it out just to make you smile.
Good evening, I'm Paul Dennett, Salford's City Mayor. Welcome everyone. Thank you for taking part in this evening's Vigil of Remembrance as part of World Suicide Prevention Day. We're here to show our support to friends, families and colleagues who continue to grieve for lost loved ones. This event is a demonstrable reminder that you are not alone. And there are people that love, care, and want to help. This year, we have faced the added stresses and worries of the coronavirus, which has impacted people's health and well-being. And unfortunately, medical professionals have warned that the pandemic is likely to lead to long-term mental health conditions, making help and support all the more important as we live with and recover from COVID-19. Tragically, in the last year across Greater Manchester, we've sadly lost 249 lives to suicide. In England and Wales, lives lost to suicide has risen to its highest level since 2002, with 5,646 suicides registered by coroners. And young lives aged between 10 and 24 years of age lost to suicide being the highest in the last 18 years. In 2019, England and Wales tragically recorded 276 more lives lost to suicide than in 2018. We all have a role to play in preventing suicide. It is so important that we raise awareness and that we reach out to inspire, educate, and empower communities to meaningfully connect with people around them, and to encourage dialogue, engagement, and support. Together we can show that we are fighting the stigma that can prevent people from reaching out for help when they need it, and by offering our help and support to others when we notice that they are in need of it. In a world where less than a quarter of countries have national suicide prevention strategies and one person is lost to suicide every 40 seconds, it seems clear we have so much more to do. At this evening's vigil, we remember all those we have lost. And we stand in solidarity and reflection in showing our support to friends, families and colleagues that have lost loved ones. In the City of Salford, our motto under the coat of arms of the City Council is that the welfare of the people is the highest law. This evening we reaffirm our pledge to reach out to end suicide and be there for people when they need most our support and help. Thank you.
So call it what you want, take me to the place I belong, high above the hills where the sun sets, watching the sky turn blue. I know it all along, that you were what I want, we're going strong. You came out of the dark, we were broken, but in daylight we're all brand new. But I watch you fade to black and then I put the pieces back and now you're here. You'll never be alone again, no, never on your own without me, yeah. And I knew shine back in the stars, we made our own broken hearts and you. Oh, you lasted all the broken parts and held out for a brand new start with you. I'll be looking out the window, trying to hunt you down in my best clothes, but the colors were fading out and we made it. In the city it rains down, the colors once more on the same ground. As I see that we planted, to know how we lasted through. But I watch you fade to black and then I put the pieces back and now you're here. You'll never be alone again, no, never on your own without me, yeah. And I knew we were falling, and but you were stalling. Smell you breath, shine back in the stars, you made our own broken hearts and you. Oh, you lasted down the broken parts and it held out for a brand new start with you.
I'm Andy Burnham, Mayor of Greater Manchester. On this World Suicide Prevention Day, I'm shining a light on suicide for all those in Greater Manchester who have lost loved ones to suicide and for those who have experienced or are experiencing thoughts of suicide. It's not an easy topic to talk about, but we must. We must because suicide is the biggest killer of men aged under 49 and women aged 20 to 24. We must because suicide is the leading cause of death for people aged 15 to 29. And we must because every year in Greater Manchester, 200 people take their own lives. It's a devastating loss of the people we love, our parents, brothers, sisters, children, friends and work colleagues. In Greater Manchester, the Shining a Light on Suicide campaign is working to bring the subject of suicide out of the dark in order to reduce suicide and improve adult mental health by getting people to talk about suicide. We all know how we're living through really tough times, so of course it's more important than ever right now to talk openly about our mental health, to support our loved ones, and of course to end the stigma of suicide and mental health. And here's the really important point. We need to encourage people to talk about suicide before it seems like their only option. Together we can help prevent suicide. I know it may feel hard to know what to do for the best for someone you know who is struggling, but the best thing to do is to ask them directly. So to help, I would encourage everyone in Greater Manchester to take part in the free 20-minute Learn to Save a Life training programme, because it will give you some ideas about how to help somebody who you are worried about. If you're struggling to cope, I would urge you to talk to someone you trust or call the Samaritans on 116 123. Telling someone how you are feeling is the first step to getting help. If you've been bereaved by suicide, we know that that brings extra challenges, but you do not have to deal with your grief alone. The Greater Manchester Bereavement Service is there for you, to help you find the support that's right for you. You can find out more at shiningalightonsuicide.org.uk. I'm really sorry that we can't be together this year for the vigil. When I've been with you in the last 2 years, I've found it deeply moving and I've actually left feeling uplifted. It's so powerful to see people coming together, remembering their loved ones, realising that they're not alone and that there are many people here to support you. And of course, as a Greater Manchester community, we will always be there for you, shining a light on suicide, supporting those who are struggling.
Please don't call me a nutjob. He's a madman, he's manic, he's mental. But if you were me, you'd see the suffering of one that's kind and gentle. Them dreaded mornings when days begin, a futile attempt to ward off the grim means fixing a smile above the chin to create a facade to guard what's within. See, my every day and every night is a constant battle and a constant fight when your barbarous bite and flippant spite says, that fella there's a not right. It's like queuing in the outside lane on an empty M62 and every fear stops you finding first gear with the foot brake stuck to the shoe. And I know they're all irrational fears when you've had these things for years and years, your reprehensible jeers and sneered words could wash my face with tears. Our dad dug deep down in pits, lad, they didn't have time for depression. My state of mind's not a pastime, mate, that I've chosen at my own discretion. There's folk that have fought in 2 world wars, lad, they didn't whinge like you. I know, mate, my granddad was one of them, and he suffered with no one to talk to. And I'm sorry you see me strange and a danger, 'cause you link violence with mental health, but along with your words, the only person I could hurt, I'm sorry to say, is sadly myself. See, if I was sat here with a broken leg, you'd offer to fetch my beer from the bar, but you'd see me with a broken head, so you mutter down into your beer from afar. Them attitudes constantly giving me jip with a wet and weak colloquial quip. Man up, lad, get a grip. 6 words we do not need one bit. So don't pitch and toss your insinuations through the air towards my wall that I've had to build quick, brick by brick, to hide me away from it all. I need to tell you how I feel instead of sitting and stewing and gawping into thin air when there's no one there that can help me just by talking. So talk to me so I can talk to you. It's good to talk, it's what I need to do. I just need to talk to get me through. We talked, and you listened too. Where once was dark, now light's in view. And I feel so much better. Thank you.
How many times have you
changed? Will you look for me when you're lost at sea and you're floating away, caught in the waves? Look right now, look right into the sky. Don't let the beauty die. Let it open up your eyes and look right now, look right into my eyes and tell me you will be alright, 'cause you're floating away and you're caught in the waves. Don't let your mind waste away, stop your soul from turning grey, and let's mend the broken parts of your tender soul and heart. I've run into the wind, I tried to bring you home, but you're floating away, you're caught in the waves. And look right now, look right into the sky. Don't let the beauty die. Let it open up your eyes. Look right now, look right into my eyes and tell me you will be alright, 'cause you're floating away and you're caught in the waves. Look right now, look right into the sky. Don't let the beauty die. Let it open up your eyes. Look right now, look right into my eyes. Tell me you will be alright, 'cause you're floating away and you're caught in the waves. Tell me you will be alright, 'cause you're floating away and you're caught in the waves. Tell me you will be alright, 'cause you're floating away and you're caught in the waves. And tell me you will be alright, 'cause you're floating away and you're caught in the waves.
Elegy for the unknown elegists. They disappear in the dead of winter or the high heat of summer, the loved ones, the missing. And the missing of them shocks into elegy partners, children, friends. Suddenly it's all gone, the trees' jagged silhouettes, the full milk of the sun, sirens attending other people's lives, and theirs, the first time elegists, held in the pool of a bedside lamp, reaching for the words. At last, my love, an end to all your pain, in angels' arms until we meet again. Couplets for the evening paper, letters with no address tucked in family Bibles. Outside, elsewhere, roadsides bloom with rude health, wreaths of fuchsia, wood sorrel, willow herb.
The World Health Organization estimates that over 800,000 people take their own life each year. That's one person every 40 seconds. And in the UK, the rate of suicide hit a 16-year high at the end of last year. Now, most of us know someone who's been affected by suicide. The agony of that person who feels that they simply can't carry on anymore, and the devastation their friends, family and loved ones face as a result. But this isn't just heartbreaking, it's a serious public health crisis. 2/3 of people who die by suicide were not receiving the mental health support that they deserve. And unfortunately, over the last 10 years, our mental health services have not been receiving the funding that they need. So on World Suicide Prevention Day, we remember the loved ones who tragically lost their lives. And we look inside ourselves as to the support that we can provide to all of those around us to help them in times of anguish and support them as best we can. But more than this, we've got to demand that our mental health services receive the funding they deserve so that we can provide the support that people within our community need.
I don't wanna put pressure on you, but I'm feeling something new. Something inside tells me that you feel it too. Such a strong sense of emotions I hear surrounding me and you. Is this destiny perfectly timed to help us through? I'm starting to believe, although we're here alone, everything happens to us for the greater good. Oh love, oh love, I don't know if it's real, only one way to confirm my beliefs. Oh love, oh love, this must be meant to be. Our lives have aligned and you come at the perfect time for me, for me, for me. This time it feels different, even though you're distant. I feel your every move. I'm holding the feeling you give me. I'm not alone. Oh, our future with you looks like something I need to see. But most of me wants to take it slow. Oh love, I don't know if it's real, only one way to confirm my beliefs. Oh love, oh love, this must be meant to be. Our lives have aligned and you've come at the perfect time for me, for me, for me. Oh, for me, for me. Love, 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 love. Oh, love, oh, love.
My dear sweet Rosie, galloping off the scene, avoiding complications, which you left just for me. But this long dark hair, it's kept you enticed. You're like the Tropic of Cancer, except you came along with ice. Out of the dust, mistakes which I know I never be. Out of the dust, I rise with my dark hair. Out of this mist, I defeat you in the my dear sweet Rosie, disintegrating at the seams, avoiding complications you've conjured up for me. Out of the dust, I rise with my dark hair. Out of this mist, I defeat you in the end.
Hello everyone, my name's Ben Akers. I'm just out on my morning run, and I thought I'd do my video to you lot. So I'm the director of a film called Steve, which is about male mental health and named after my childhood best friend Steve Yates, who took his own life in 2014. I'm down on the south coast this week with my kids and my wife, seeing Steve's family, funnily enough, because he lived around here. So I thought it would be quite apt to do my note to you guys from here. So yeah, it's a hard one actually. It's been I made the film, started making the film 2 years ago, and it's been a bit of a hard way of dealing with my own pressures and worries about suicide, about the stigma around it, about me dealing with his death. Stigma's a hard word, if I'm honest. Everyone blames themselves. I blame myself. I probably still do at some stage, even though that I know that I couldn't do anything towards the end of what happened. But it's about prevention. It's about sort of looking after ourselves way before those last moments, because when he actually did take his own life, he was ill. He was very ill. So the stigma is really hard, because I think we all, Steve's family, myself, we all blame ourselves at different layers, and we all try to forgive ourselves, but we find it hard. So I tried to sort of use that my grief and that negative energy that I had about all that, and tried to turn it into a film. So the film we finished last March after a year of making. And we talked to positive people about what can be done about looking after ourselves as men, how we can reduce these suicide rates, how we can prevent all men feeling this way, and women, but as we know that the statistics are that more men take their own lives. So Steve is a positive film about male mental health, and it looks at ways that we can protect ourselves using exercise, talking, writing, and owning how we feel. Because what we discovered after talking to some people in youth mentoring was that if you can say something simple like, how are you, but then back it up with a thing of out of 10. Because we all ask each other every day, how are we? And we never are honest with each other and never honest with ourselves. So what we've tried to instill and propel and perpetuate is this idea of how are you out of 10. And from that we created a thing called Talk Club, which is a male mental health movement. So a lot of this is actually how we own how we feel, and look after ourselves. I mean, it wasn't actually that hard to get up this morning and come for a run. Beautiful day, but it's very hard to look after ourselves quite a lot of the time, and I think that's what we need to be doing more of, all of us, because we can't go back. We can't save those people that we've lost, but we can try and stop the next ones, and that's what the film and that's what Talk Club is all about. I've got questions of how did I navigate through the challenges of the stigma around suicide. I'll be honest, I didn't find it that hard. I think sort of Steve's family found it harder by whether there was judgment or whether they were feeling judged, or whether people didn't want to talk about it. Because Steve was my friend, and I know that, and they know that I'm in that category, biggest killer of men under 50. I'm in that category, so it's never been hard to actually say the word. It's never been hard to sort of talk about the stigma around it for me. But I know that lots of people that I've interviewed and lots of people who I've talked to have felt that people crossed over the road almost from them and wouldn't mention it, and it's the sort of thing of, how many children have you got? Well, I've got 2. No, oh well, one died. Do you go into how they died? So I think that's been very hard for lots of parents and lots of sort of brothers and sisters who've lost loved ones. But I think the more that we can talk about it, the more that society takes on this as this issue of ill health, ill mental health, and talks openly about suicide and talks openly about the fact that it is preventable. Most of the time it is preventable. It's just that we need to be looking after ourselves way earlier. And in Talk Club we talk about mental fitness. So this is me trying to do some physical fitness, but it's also mental fitness. Me going out for a run and clearing my head and thinking about things, and giving myself the space to do that, and writing down how I'm feeling, and when I get stressed, talking about it. Because the more you can talk about how you feel, the better we're all going to be. And that's the reason why this out of 10 works. So that, like, for example, most mornings I wake up, I've got 3 children under 8. Most mornings I wake up at sort of a 4 or 5 out of 10, because one of them's been with us or I haven't slept very well. And then how do I get myself to a 6? How do I get myself to a 7? How do I get myself to an 8? And it's a way of me staying present with how I'm feeling. And that's really, really important for my mental fitness and for how I look after myself. So that would be one of the ways that I would ask all of my arms hurting here, I'm sorry. That's how I would look all of you to sort of look after yourselves a bit better, is to ask yourselves how you are out of 10. And try and break that stigma of bottle it up and man up. Because as we say in Talk Club, it's not man up, it's open up, because that's the manly thing to do. You get strong by talking. You get strong by becoming mentally fit. The more you talk about your feelings, the more you talk about what's worrying you, the more you work on how you can resolve those issues, the stronger you will become. So I suppose being asked to do this was a real honour, but also quite a worry, because because I know there's still a lot of people out there who are hurting from the people they've lost. And I think about Steve every day, if not every hour of every day. But that's the thing. I can't go back on this. I can only keep moving forward and trying to help other people not become the next Steve. So I think I've prattled on enough. I'm going to carry on with my run. I hope you're all very well and you'll manage to look after yourselves and look after those people around you. Take care.
So my uncle Peter Armstrong committed suicide a few years ago, and when we got the possessions from his house, we had a load of his books, and inside of these books were all pieces of tobacco. Because the one thing that always comes to mind when I think of my uncle Peter is he loved to smoke. He was always smoking. So I wrote this in response. It is still laced with the fragrance of him, strands of tobacco that once tasted his skin, as he rolled up a fag or blazed on a spliff while gazing at this flicking pages within. I sit here like he did, reading it too, tobacco on side and weed in my zoo, and even though mum is still deep in the blues, I sing, 'cause it feels like I'm reading with you. As if your voice could echo through the halls of ages, of cobblestone paths and pastel paintings, like your fingers scratched these words onto the pages, like your bones are in the bindings, your ghost in its traces. He held the world on his back, an atlas of a man. Now I hold the weight of him here, saddled in my hand.
Even when the leaves began to fall, still it was too warm to sleep at night. She was finding treasure in the streets, pockets full of gemstones throwing light. And I just can't help but clench my fist as she's running round the corner out of sight. And how can I deny her this, when her life is an immaculate delight? I battle myself, but it's a fight worth having, lose or win. I battle myself, as she turns her face into the wind. I battle myself, wandering in the palace on the shore. It's easy to imagine we were kings. I know you felt the hunger in the deep, but she showed little fear for senseless things. And I just can't help but clench my fist, just as the day surrenders to the night. And how can I deny her this, when her life is a miraculous delight? I battle myself, but it's a fight worth having, lose or win. I battle myself, as she turns her face into the wind. I battle myself. Well, let's try and make different mistakes from the ones our fathers made. Let's try and make different mistakes from the ones our mothers made, so we can look her in the eye in a distant future time. I battle myself, But it's a fight worth having, lose or win. I battle myself as she turns her face into the wind. I battle myself. But it's a fight worth having, lose or win. I battle myself as she turns her face into the wind. Let's try and make different mistakes from the ones our fathers made. Let's try and make different mistakes from the ones our mothers made, so we can look her in the eye in a distant future time.
Freddie Larson, Andrew Greenacre, Lee Johns, Jenny Schofield, Joanne Steed, Rachel Millard, Debbie Joyce, Stuart Patrick McDermott, Melvin Linus,
Matthew Sherratt, Leah Parkinson, Tony Philip McNulty, Alan Pencer, Glenn Robert Wall, Benjamin Harrison, Natasha White, Kelly Summers, Faye Larkin.
Jean Cameron, Katie O'Neill, Paul Hames, Ryan Hinselwood, Peter Gatenby, Clara Mulligan Gonzalez, Jonathan Armett, Jamie Lee Danks, Derek Modrell.
Adam Statham, Josephine Suzanne Forte, Jamie Horrocks, Michael Roach, Andrew Cook, Les Foster, Councillor Paul Longshaw, John Francis Trick, Tony Dawson,
Kelly Summers,
Kanan Navaratnam,
James Jimmy Penman O'Hara,
Janice Mary Wakeling,
Jane Corner,
David Walsh,
B. Adiyiba,
Michael Mikey Brown,
Shirley Jensen,
Anne Hedges, Gareth Hughes, James Morgan, Jeanette Collier, Colin Matheson, Caroline Parkinson, Paul Shanks, Ian Thompson, Finbar Cullen.
Ashley Rushworth, Gareth Paul Seddon, Joseph Franco, Terence Patrick Strongitharm, Philip Michael Strongitharm, Gail Mary Strongitharm, Ashley Reese Lynch, Philip Truesdale Hunter, Lee Jason Sean Ridgway.
Joshua Phillips, Malcolm Roy Taylor, Jack Holder, Joyce Mogridge, Sim Wilkins, Connell Arthur, Carlo Pacini, Gareth Hughes, Anya Maguire.
Matthew J, Fionn Cullen, Jacqueline Jack Rose Hargreaves, Wilfred George Hatton, Stephen Barnes, Ryan Prince, Pippa McMahon, Tyler John Smith, James William Brown, Jack Holder.
In a fleeting moment of a restless day, driven to distraction, I was captured by the gang. I have often wondered why I ever wanted to leave these scattered hours and speak myself to you. I choose never to forget. I want our lips to kiss, our rooms to entwine, let our bodies be twisted, never our minds. Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Set to work, I know handshake these thoughts that I planned, and they never would be choosing me as viciously as this. I'd not have believed you had I never seen. Now you and I are intimately pictured in my dreams. I could not forsake you or fall tumbling away. And if I live in Wonderland, I'm better off this way. I choose never to forget. I want our lips to meet, our limbs to entwine, let our bodies be twisted, never our minds. Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Set to work, idle handshake these thoughts that I blame them. They never would be teasing me as viciously as this. Is this love? Is this love? Is this love? Is this